WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. Normally I come out with 2 hours of sports talk, excellence, blah, 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 blah. No, like, we're the station that just, hey, I'm going to tell you this commercial message and just cut you off right in the middle.
It's our turn.
It's our turn. We take over here. Remember we used to do local college football games, Tim, and that was different where, like, if they gave us a 12:30 start time and the old Infinity/CBS Sports Network wouldn't break at that time, it was always kind of awkward, like, oh, sorry, you're making a great point, but we got to get to football here.
Hut.
Yeah, hut, right. So, all I can say is, hey, behind the scenes, we're working on it.
The robots will never fully take over.
No, I'm still here. I'm real. You're real. Dandalorian's real. Welcome on in. 2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us, 95.7 FM, AM 950, always streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. We're on the air 1 to 3 Eastern time, weekdays, so that's a 10-hour podcast each week of Rochester Sports Talk delivered for you on the Odyssey app, wherever you get your fine audio. We're also on YouTube and Twitch. You can write to us at WGR Rochester is our handle on X, or wherever you find our social media, we'll find you. And you can give us a call, certainly, 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. Father's Day is not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. Hint, hint, hint. That would be a good place to head on over. One guest today coming up at the bottom of the hour. It has been forever and a day since we had her on the show. Trista Crick is coming up. Of course, she does a great job with the Heat Check podcast. She's also the co-founder of Daily W Sports. Trista will be joining us here bottom of this hour to talk a little NBA. Hey, what did we see last night? I certainly have thoughts on that. Again, you're welcome to join us at 585-866-4326. Before we get to the NBA, I just want to kind of acknowledge that sometimes we are so, I don't know, hypercritical, or, my gosh, is this team ever going to get over the hump that, it's the Ferris Bueller line. If you don't stop and smell the roses, you'll miss it, or something along those lines, right? But you get the point, right? We are living in the Josh Allen era. MVP from 2 years ago. Hey, look, he didn't win it last year, but he delivered a lot of good performances. And I don't know if we'll ever have another athlete at this level in our lifetime here in Western New York. Because here's another honor. It's not even an honor. It's just kind of a fact that the NFLPA put out their list today of merchandise sales. This isn't jersey sales. This is merch. So like a figurine or a T-shirt, certainly a jersey, anything that, you will have to cut in the player to. Josh Allen's number one on this list, taking over for Saquon Barkley.
I'm surprised by that. I knew he would be like top 5 or top 10, but number 1 is pretty wild to me.
Well, maybe it's only because Mahomes was hurt last year, and are you really does Sam Darnold kind of cross over? Not really. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Is Drake May there yet? No, but it's noteworthy he's number 2 on the list. And I think he's number 2 on the list because Patriot fans all of a sudden are like, hey, this is kind of cool. And you know what? Tom Brady, it's not ours anymore. Let's turn the page here. Saquon going from the Giants to the Eagles. So Saquon drops from 1 to 3. Did you see this list, Tim?
I did not.
Okay, you want to take a guess? I will. I'll give you 3 strikes here. So I gave you Allen, May, and Barkley. Give me 4 through 10. Go ahead.
Justin Jefferson on there?
No, strike 1.
All right. Wow, this is not going to go well. Jamar Chase?
No, strike 2. You're on the wrong track. Let me give
Joe
you a
Burrow?
dude, I was ready to give you a big old hint.
I'll take a hint.
Okay. You were 0 for 3.
Yeah, that's wild.
How about a quarterback that was a high pick and then showed up on the scene last year and like, oh, there's something here. Caleb Williams checking in at number 8.
That's crazy.
Not crazy. Why is that crazy?
Over all the guys I just named?
Because you already have their merch. You're thinking this the wrong way. Like who would be the guy that would sell a lot of stuff? And Williams in Chicago, bigger market. Another guy that changed teams. That, hey, you're a Packer fan? Micah Parsons, number 10. There's one on the list that doesn't make any sense to me. I'll give you the list here. So after Barkley at 3, it's Jackson Smith and Jigba at 4, which
that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Higher than I would have anticipated. But
now this is from last year. So by the time we got, I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense to me. But then I'm thinking, all right, we're around September. You're really excited about this quarterback. Jaden Daniels checking in at 5. Jaden Daniels is not going to be on this list next year. I can guarantee you that. So Mahomes at 6, and maybe that's just simply because you already have a Mahomes jersey. Jalen Hurts at 7, Williams, Jordan Love at 9, which, okay. And then Micah Parsons rounding out the top 10. But the idea that we have a Buffalo Bill leading the league in merchandise sales, and tell me the thing that it is you don't like about Josh Allen. Tell me the thing that he does wrong.
He does flop a little bit. He is a little bit of a flopper.
No, you're stretching there.
I don't think I am.
Yeah.
He's allowed to have one flaw.
Well, I'm talking about from a personality standpoint. I'm talking for how he conducts his business, how his teammates respect him, how the league respects him. And how, come on, like every NFL quarterback is going to try to get the calls. You watched last night? Hey, they're always trying to get the calls. And so for Josh Allen, he's no different than a Mahomes or anybody in that regard. My point is, like, there hasn't been anything that has stuck to this guy. He marries the Hollywood actress, and we're not jealous of the guy. We want to have a beer with the guy. So Josh Allen has done all these things, and the public has bought in the whole time. And the idea that Western New York, during the drought era, this was the NFL wasteland. It really was. It was the place where LaShawn McCoy gets dealt as a punishment. And I'm going to and nobody could kind of break through. And sure, McDermott was here a year before, and he let, the culture and everything, but McDermott wouldn't have had the success without Allen. So I thought that this is the way to lead off the show. And just about now, you've got Joe Brady talking to reporters as the Bills will be opening up their mandatory 3-day mini camp. That'll be coming up. Is Josh Allen and the rest of the Bills are out there. I haven't seen anything come across like there's any big storylines. So, again, a beautiful day in Western New York. And when things were going well, it was usually, let's get the work in Tuesday, let's get the work in Wednesday. Gentlemen, enjoy your summer, and then you cut them loose on Thursday. I'm thinking that's not the case this year because you have all this new terminology on defense. Why not give at least those guys the extra reps? So you can't just let go of the offense and keep the defense. So I think it would make sense that at least, all right, let's make sure you're here till Thursday, and then everybody kind of breaks. And then we don't have the training camp schedule yet, but it's July 29th. It's going to be a big old break, so just enjoy your summer, folks. To me, that is the elite season. I will gladly debate Jeremy White at any point. When I'm on my deck grilling whatever, and yes, you can kind of do that, in the fall, but you have more time in the summer by and large. You can go to the beach in the summer. I mean, there's so many things that the summer offers you more than the fall. I'm not hating on the fall. I'm saying summer gets underrated. 585-866-4326. Before the next stuff, there's just something kind of off here. Like, how long does the A.J. Brown story go in New England? And if you're using, like, Diggs as an example, I think maybe you at least say this is going to be a year where Brown loves May and May loves Brown and Vrabel's so proud and they'll have some great plays. In the end, I don't think it's going to work long term. Like, Tennessee sold A.J. Brown really cheap just for a first-round pick at the time. And A.J. Brown delivered for Philadelphia, did he not? Super Bowl champion, got there another time. That's a player. And then something really kind of strange happened where he wasn't getting the ball the way he thought he would from Jalen Hurts. So this is the way it kind of goes. If there's something that isn't right between head coach or offensive coordinator or wide receiver and quarterback, well, number one, if it's not working, the offensive coordinator is always the first guy to go. You can make that switch and you just kind of move on because those guys are replaceable. The other three, all right, to what degree? You're not replacing the quarterback. And Nick Sirianni kind of survived, and he gets a pass. It was time for A.J. Brown to move from Philadelphia. And this destination was known for quite some time. But here's the odd thing, right? So what was last week? Last week was, hey, it's A.J. Brown in New England, and there he is in Patriot gear, and he's not going to be the first one to go through this drill. He has to earn that. Give me a break. Whatever. Okay, so a lot of glowing stories out of New England. What happens over the weekend? Mike Garofalo reporting that A.J. Brown went back to the Eagles facility to clean out his stuff. So I have questions here. Like, okay, you didn't do that before? Number one, like if you really thought you were going to go, I thought like these guys more often than not were just kind of, all right, here's what I need. And you're like, what would you leave behind that's so valuable? And we've all been in the workplace. I know I have where, all right, whether it's a downsizing or whether somebody gets fired and has to be walked out the building, those are always uncomfortable moments. This isn't that. But what happens is, hey, you rip the Band-Aid off real quick, and we're going to mail you your personal belongings, and that's that. So, I for A.J. Brown, just to be allowed back in the Eagles facility, I think kind of in a way is a little disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. Like if there was something there between the two, you moved on. But then this is the part that I don't completely get. That A.J. Brown, according to the Garofalo report, and I guess they have a lot of teams have I don't know, like pictures or a mural or something there, and there's a wall there, and A.J. Brown's picture was on the wall. He goes over and autographs his own picture on the wall. Quote, "The best to ever play here, always open."
Receivers are the best.
I think the best. That is chef's kiss. Mwah. Now, again, how did he go in? Did he know a security guy? Did he not? If I'm Howie Roseman, I'm like, what the hell? Why are we letting this guy in and putting his own graffiti on our wall just to get that little passive-aggressive dig? And this guy is king passive-aggressive. Remember, he was reading a book on the sideline like, hey, I'm so bored here. You're not getting me the ball. We may be winning. You know what? I'm going to read a self-help book. To me, it's like, all right, we get on Diggs. People aren't getting on A.J. Brown because you know what? A.J. Brown right now, is he a top 5 receiver in the league? Top 10. Maybe. He'll help the Patriots. He's better than what they had. Also, I brought up the name Diggs, and our friend Tim in San Diego, reaching out to me, and I missed this. I didn't see this. Apparently, there was some tweet from C.J. Gardner-Johnson over the weekend that said, hey, why not? When somebody was speculating about Diggs back to Buffalo, and the tweet was quickly deleted. Oh, my gosh, what does this mean? And the more you think about this, you have to look at the turning point of when things went south for Diggs. You could point to two things, right? One being, and it was around, well, I know exactly when it was around. It was on this day in 2023, Tim, that opening day of minicamp, where Stephon Diggs hasn't been around for OTAs, and normally, 9 times out of 10, not at OTAs, not a story. For Diggs, hey, after he blew up and blew a gasket in the Cincinnati playoff game, Diggs, okay, we hadn't heard from him, and then McDermott says he was sent home. Are you very upset? Very upset. Oh, not he was sent home. I'm getting the details wrong. He didn't show when actually he did show, and McDermott just blatantly lied to the media. Had to cover that up. And, yeah, come to find out, Diggs was there. Diggs confronted McDermott about something. McDermott sent him home. And so McDermott had to backpedal the next day. And then we get to training camp, and everybody's making all nice. But to me, that was kind of the end there because Brandon Beane had to go and use his sales techniques, I'm sure, with the agent and with Diggs himself, saying, look, we legitimately can't move off you this season. See the bonus we paid you? Unless you want to pay that bonus back, you are on this team this year. After this year, we will move you. I think that's how it went down. Of course, not 100% sure. But then just to kind of make sure that that plan was going accordingly, because Diggs had a few games. There was a game in November, I recall, that year where, hey, it's a game against the Dolphins, and Diggs, 2 touchdowns. One, like, okay, this is really good, home game. And then, yeah, and then the Monday night loss to Denver with, 12 players on the field for the field goal. That just a terrible loss to Russell Wilson. Ugh. And then, of course, because the next day, just to make sure we're getting somebody out there, you fire the offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. It was after Dorsey got fired that McDermott really kind of had, I think, kind of the fist on that on Brady in the offense. Like, we're going to run it, we're going to do this. And you know what? The weather was turning anyways. But as a result, Diggs kind of didn't get the targets that he was accustomed to. There was a game, you remember the Patriot game, right? Well, at that Patriot game, he didn't start. He wasn't on the field for the first series. Why wouldn't you have your best receiver on the field for the first series? So it's my way of explaining to you that where we kind of look at the video of Josh Allen, in the Cincinnati playoff loss, sitting there where Diggs is blowing up at him, and we could theorize that, Allen wouldn't, at this point say, Steph, come on back. Where they were saying nice things about each other, no. I don't know if that is completely, mended. And I don't know if Brady and the Buffalo Bills would be welcoming back a Stephon Diggs, or vice versa for that matter, knowing that the way Brady used Diggs in the final game, that you forget that Joe Brady was the OC when Stephon Diggs was here. Brady's been here that long. 585-866-4326. Now the Knicks, who, I don't know who said this yesterday. Oh, that's right, me. I'm not bashful about taking credit that the Spurs would win. And what I didn't see is the Knicks coming out as flat as they did last night. And those points, those minutes in the first quarter, sure, it's a playoff game. It's the NBA Finals. They matter too. It wasn't just the first quarter, third quarter, kind of slow. Remember, the Knicks had a 7-point halftime lead, and they just kind of came out thinking they had this all wrapped up. What I did enjoy last night, and I know this may sound strange from a Knicks fan, don't you like your basketball with a little physicality? It can be a little cheap, I suppose, like Wemby throwing down Brunson. We could talk about the officiating when we have Trista Crick on here in a little bit. I'm sure she'll have her thoughts. But that's not the reason the Knicks lost last night. Their best players, well, they didn't give you the full 60 minutes last night. That's number one. So I think that is basically come out with a better start, more consistent, and move the damn ball around. It seems like when the Knicks are doing their best, how many guys touch the ball before you get that open look? And sure, sometimes it works when you're just going to play your 1980s ISO ball with Jalen Brunson, and that's fun. And maybe he'll be falling backwards and throwing off his left hand or whatever it was, that circus shot he had last night. That's fun. But that shouldn't be the plan. The plan for the Knicks should be move the ball, get in transition, move it around. This isn't the 1994 Knicks that wanted to play half court and just punch in the face. And ironically, it was the Spurs punching back last night. So, yeah, we joke that Game 5 is the pivotal Game 5 always in the 2-2 series. It feels like Game 4. Like, right? Like, if the Knicks end up handing back the home court advantage to the Spurs.
Yeah, stealing those 2 games on the road and then giving them right back immediately. Like, if they leave 3-2, no matter how it happens, I guess it works out. But giving it right back, and then needing to absolutely win that pivotal game 5 is a nightmare.
Yeah, so I would expect after the Spurs push the Knicks around for them to kind of push back a little bit. Yeah, like can you do that? And the best players, they have some guys that are fun coming off the bench, but that shouldn't be the plan, right? Like, you need your starting 5 to do good things. Josh Hart fan. Big Josh Hart fans there, Tim. We'll talk to Trista coming up. We have Tim's terrible take of the day as well. Time for your calls as well at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Knicks missed an opportunity to go big in the NBA Finals. Spurs winning Game 3. Knick guard Jalen Brunson on what happened in Game 3.
I think we turned the ball over a lot, first and foremost, but then also we were fouling a lot and put them at the line about 30 times. And with our live ball turnovers, and I got them out in transition, and they were capitalizing off of those. So we were definitely fouling a lot.
Game 4 tomorrow night at the Garden. Trista Crick, the Heat Chat podcast, will join us next year in the Sports Bar. Tonight, hockey taking center stage. It's Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Vegas is up 2-1 on Carolina. Baseball tonight, all the action under the lights. The Orioles hosting the Mariners. Boston is at Tampa Bay. Yankees are in Cleveland. Rochester Red Wings tonight opening a homestand against Worcester. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
She's also the co-founder of Daily W Sports Heat Check podcast. Longtime friend here of whatever we called ourselves over the years here. Now WGR Rochester. Trista Crick joining us here. What'd you think last night, Trista? It just seemed like the Knicks playing one quarter of basketball. That's not enough to cut in the NBA final. How are you today?
I'm good, guys. How are you? How's everything going?
It's 80 degrees here today. I remember when you came out to Western New York one time, and the only time I met you in person, that was the Bengal game, and yeah, that's not a time. That's not a time you want to show off a visitor to your town when it's that cold and everything. So today is more of a Chamber of Commerce day here, Trista.
Yeah, it's cold here in Portland. I've got a beanie on and a hoodie, so we got a little rain. The sun is starting to peek out. But that's June in Portland, Oregon for you. It's like very touch and go.
Yeah, well, that's good to have you on, Trista. What did you think last night? The Knicks missing an opportunity to really kind of close this out. Your thoughts on where we are at in this series here, heading to a Game 4?
Well, I think in general, this is an opportunity for the Knicks to, put their boot. Sorry, I've got people just dropping their coffee right on my table. I'm sitting outside. So I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit distracted. But yeah, I thought in general the Knicks had, the home court advantage. They had an excellent crowd. Obviously, the distractions of, shutting down all of the streets around Madison Square Garden, I think made it difficult to have the vibe that you wanted and the party outside that you wanted. And the price of the tickets inside of MSG was certainly not something that help the diehards be in the building either. I saw some people talk about it online and said I thought this crowd was going to be electric because, of the moment and everything that it meant for New York City, but because the average ticket was $9,000, it just wasn't the greatest vibe. But in general, I think, the Spurs have done a phenomenal job at limiting Jalen Brunson's efficiency. They did that to SGA as well. And, it's interesting when you say that Jalen Brunson didn't have a good game and he almost had 30. So that's certainly a piece of it. Karl Anthony Towns wasn't in the offensive flow. I think he's been finals MVP caliber player this year. Or this finals, excuse me. And so 11 points and, 10 shots, 2 for 10 from the field. Not great. I just thought in general the Knicks offensive flow wasn't there. They gave the ball to Jalen Brunson a ton. He was dribbling a ton, and that's not the kind of offense that you need to play against the Spurs team where they're able to load up against you and allow Victor Wembanyama to sort of float around like he loves to do in Rome and be the rim protector. You kind of have to make him choose his spots and put him in difficult situations. I thought the Spurs, though, they handled the adjustment in a masterful way. You get Wemby down in the paint on lobs and dunks and him being super aggressive as a big and not playing out in the perimeter. I thought that was a big adjustment. I thought Stephon Castle put his foot on the gas from moment one. At 22 years old, he played phenomenally. I think him, Dylan Harper, both showed why they're going to be really the future of this backcourt. And, De'Aaron Fox, as disappointing as he was for large stretches of this game and other games, that huge shot that he had in the mid-range is what closed it out. But, yeah, there's so much adjustments that I can see moving forward on both sides, and I'm really excited for this thing to hopefully go 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trista, I want it over in 5. Yeah, in my bias here, but I
you
hear
want it over in 4,
yeah,
but 4 is no longer mathematically a possibility.
Nope, that's not happening. Trista Crick, Heat Check Podcast. If you go back to the Western Conference Final, like Pop had the message to the team, hey, be more physical. And I don't know. I thought, and you mentioned how, like, Wemby, like, don't nibble around the edges, get it down low. I thought the Spurs, how big a key is that? And should we expect the Knicks to push back in that regard? Because to me, that it had some, I'm okay with when they, kind of go at it just a little bit, Trista. To me, that's a little old-time basketball last night we saw.
That's what we want to see. And the only people who I am hearing hating the way that the refs are officiating this game are Knicks fans. Even though the Spurs have lost 2 games of the first 2, I didn't see any Spurs fans balking about that. I think the physicality is what we want to see. We don't want to see touch fouls. We don't want to see, players bait their defender into going to the free throw line. I don't want to see Jalen Brunson go to the free throw line 20 times. That's just not what anybody wants to see. We want to see tough physical basketball. And when the refs did intervene, a lot of times that came off of reviews or challenges. That's, I think, the best scenario where, yeah, we're going to let you guys be chippy. We're going to let the players play the game and decide the game, and we're not going to let the Zebras do it.
Trista Crick, Heat Check Podcast, co-founder also of Daily W Sports. From the Knicks side, gosh, you brought up how, like, you look at the numbers at the end of the day, like for Jalen Brunson. Is there any comp in NBA history for what we're seeing for a player that, as a point guard, we by we, I mean just kind of the collective whole, we don't regard him almost like as a top 10, top 5 player in this league. But your thoughts on Brunson here, because if the Knicks pull this off, he is one of the guys that will be legendary in New York City. You saw Derek Jeter sitting courtside last night. If Brunson somehow pulls this off, Trista, we're going to regard that guy, right up alongside him.
Oh, 1,000%. He'll go down as the greatest Knick ever. I think he's already in that rarefied air. Like, I think he has the argument to be that right now. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's just so clutch. It doesn't really matter how bad he plays for 3.5 quarters. When it's winning time, Jalen Brunson makes shots. You saw him do that in the fourth quarter of last game when he was largely didn't have it going. You saw it in game 1 as well. Put the team on his back, even though he hadn't done anything for the entirety of the game. And it was Karl Anthony Towns that really led them to make a run after the Spurs were up 14 in that game. So, yeah, Jalen Brunson, for his size, his ability to get to his spots, his ability to be super physical, his ability to, create space, 10, 15 feet from the rim. He obviously has touch around the rim as well, and, has the ability to hit dagger threes also, and does it when the team needs him the most. Culturally, what he's done to set the tone for the Knicks, bringing Josh Hart over, being instrumental in taking less money to get the OG Anunoby trade and extension done, saying, hey, I think we should trade for Mikal Bridges, saying, hey, like, we need to have Dante DiVincenzo. All my Villanova boys need to come over here. And I think he is the skeleton key that makes this entire team into what they are. Yes, Worldwide West. Yes, Leon Rose. But without him as the franchise player who took less money, who was, undervalued, overlooked, and his dad's there. I mean, the whole story for Jalen Brunson is setting up to be storybook, even if they don't win it this year, and they certainly are set up to do that. But I look at the East, and the Knicks are set up to compete for a very long time.
So it was around this time last year. Actually, I just looked it up. June 3rd last year, Trista. I remember just being angry. We're getting ready to go on the air like, you're kidding me. What? The Knicks just fired Tom Thibodeau after, the best season the team has had in decades, and you're going to do that? What has – you mentioned all the reasons why, like, Brunson is the guy in New York. But what has Mike Brown done to help this team along to a place where they couldn't get to last year?
I think, one, they probably should have been in the finals last year. Just the fluky nature of how Indiana won those games, was so storybook for them and so dramatic and shocking. And certainly the Knicks had that series and they were favored in that series for a reason. So Tibbs could have been there. But I think you always thought that Tibbs had a ceiling. And the ceiling was, I think first and foremost, he didn't trust his role players. And you see Mike Brown using Jordan Clarkson, using Deuce McBride, using Jose Alvarado, using Landry Shamet, who was the last player to make the roster, and the only reason he made the roster is that Malcolm Brogdon decided to retire. So, he has been a revelation for this team. I think at one point was shooting 60% from three in the playoffs and was a key piece of that comeback against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think Mike Brown has used his oh, my God. Sorry, guys. We got dog. I'm outside at a coffee shop. Ollie. It's always the little ones. He's done a great job of using his role players, and Tibbs never really wanted to do that. Tibbs wanted to go 6-7 deep and into the playoffs. Even in the regular season, he wore his star players out, played them 40-plus minutes at a time, and, his adjustments were, largely very lackluster. We've seen Mike Brown make adjustment after adjustment this postseason. The first and foremost one that I think Karl Anthony Towns is a big piece in helping him realize needed to be made is, making Karl Anthony Towns the hub of the offense and having him run things like we see in that Diet Jokic style. And so, I think Mike Brown was the final piece. And I think Tibbs probably could have gotten them to the finals, but I certainly don't think they'd be up at 1.20 on San Antonio when they don't have home court advantage.
Just a couple more for you, because I know you're in a public spot there with a lot going on here.
His dog, he's 1 year old. He sees another dog and he freaks out.
What breed?
He's a Palm Chihuahua, just the loudest, barkiest of all the breeds.
Yep. That's the small ones run the place there. They're the boss there. What's the vibe out in Portland right now? Because when I heard, we're hockey people over here, and when I heard that the Trailblazers the NBA let Tom Dundon into their club, I'm like, that guy, like that guy that tore it. Now Carolina's in the Stanley Cup final, and I guess all's well that ends well, I suppose. But not some good press there for your Trailblazers here with the new owner, Trista.
Yeah, it's been bad. I think in general the vibe is solemn. I think the vibe is confused. I think the vibe is kind of angry. And there's a real possibility that if the city doesn't do and the state doesn't do what they need to do in order to make the renovations to Moda Center, which used to be called the Rose Garden, there's a real possibility that the team could move. And so, the way that Paul Allen and Jody Allen, his sister, handled the lease agreements towards the end of the expiration of, leasing out the Moda Center, they only extended it for 5 years. And they did it 18 months before the lease expired, which is just not done. And so what that did was allow the Allen family and the foundation to pocket $1 billion more than they would otherwise, because the team is being seen as portable. And for Blazer fans, that's like an absolute travesty, especially considering that we've already seen this with Clay Bennett and what they did to the Seattle Supersonics that is now the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that's all fine and good for those living in OKC, and the storybook ended. It was a storybook ending for them, but it's not a storybook ending for Seattle. And if you rip out another team from the Pacific Northwest, it's going to be really, really bad for the NBA. And I don't know what Adam Silver can do to step in, but that's just, that's obviously the worst case scenario, and that's probably the worst thing that could happen to us. But you're talking about a lot of people in the communications department that ended up getting fired. You're talking about people, on the basketball operations staff that were fired. Yes, was the staff pretty big compared to other NBA franchises? Sure. Does Tom Dundon understand the dynamics of an NBA team compared to an NHL team? I don't think he does. He clearly didn't, because he said, hey, if I would have known that this was going to get out, I probably wouldn't have done all these changes during the playoffs. And so it behooves you as an owner to do the research to find out what the dynamics of NBA culture is, which is, listen, I find out something from a source or a friend or a reporter, I'm immediately reaching out to other people who I think should know that.
Yeah.
The NBA culture is a gossip culture.
I don't trust the guy. That's kind of like the bottom line there. So I'm hoping that
None of us do.
No, it all works out. But you're right. It just seems like my radar is up on that. Tristan, I got to ask you one question about the WNBA. Like, what is real? What isn't real? And look, we're going to be paying more attention to the WNBA right after the finals get over. That's just how the cycle goes. So I'm not really entirely dialed in because a lot of the headlines you see surrounding Caitlin Clark right now, great light last night and everything's fine. Is there an issue with her and the coach? Is there an issue with her, or is this just the day and age we kind of live in right now, where we're nitpicking everything? Your thoughts here on Clark here entering year 2?
3.
I'm sorry.
I think for Caitlin Clark, we're to a point societally that no one can really have a logical or rational conversation about her. There's a group of fans that hate everything that she does, and there's a group of fans that exalt everything that she does. And so, talking about her is, for a media member, somewhat fruitless. It's rage bait no matter what you say and no matter, what type of criticism or praise you give her. And the truth is she's leading in a bunch of different categories in the WNBA, and yet also still not playing great. Her efficiency is not great. Her back has become lingering as an issue. Her defense is definitely something that needs work, probably because of some physical limitations that she has, probably some scheme limitations, and probably some desire limitations. So, Caitlin Clark is a transcendent talent, but she's not perfect, and she's certainly frustrated. She's one of the worst players I've ever seen speak to refs in my life. I was shocked. And I've been, obviously covering the men's side for a long time. She says things to refs in a way to refs I've never experienced before. It's wild. But, that is something that she's done since she was at Iowa, so that's nothing new. But I think people are kind of a little bit fed up with those antics, a little bit fed up with how she speaks about team dynamics or how she's being covered in the media or how people are responding to her on social media. I think also the biggest thing is, listen, you're a transcendent talent. You have a responsibility to do more for the sport and for the league than for yourself. And I think that's the biggest criticism that a lot of folks in certain communities have with her is it seems like you're out for Caitlin. You care similarly to the way that Michael Jordan spoke about it, hey, conservatives buy shoes too, so I'm not going to say anything that's going to, alienate a certain part of my fan base. And that's fine. But I think it's disappointing when you have as much say and a sway and as much impact as she has.
Trista Crick, tell us about Heat Check, how often we can check it out, where we can get all your great content here, Trista.
You can find that twice a week everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, but really follow for WNBA stuff. It's a comedy podcast called Let Her Shoot. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. Very funny, very informative basketball content for the women's side.
Trista, great stuff. Appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, Trista.
Thanks for putting up with all the dog stuff.
Anytime. All
right, talk to you soon.
Trista Crick from a cafe in Portland. With a little bit, did she say it was raining? I forget now.
It wasn't raining. Just the coffee was raining on her, and a dog was barking at her.
Yeah, dog. And what made it even more confusing was, and we've all been there, right? As we're going to break, I get a text from Tristan. Usually that means, oh no, I'm running late. I'm ready. You're confirming the whole way along. Her phone is about ready to die. So I'm assuming she is actually on the landline from that cafe.
I don't know if it was a friend or an employee, but when I called her up, somebody else answered the phone and said, "Hang on, let me grab her." So
it was, yeah. So it was a little different, but Trista, full of takes, great content, and remember, you used to hear her weeknights on BetMGM.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's still great, but she was great with us and on the network.
Yeah, she's great on the network. Before that, she was with Barstool. So Trista, at some point, if you're she should be on a bigger platform because it's tell me about Jalen Brunson. Tell me about Caitlin Clark. Tell me about, okay, what did we learn about that? Kind of sounds like Tom Dundon might be shopping around the Portland Trailblazers. Just my read on it. That and it was a different commissioner, right? Unthinkable that the Seattle Supersonics would move to a market that's never had a Big Four professional team in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, a metro of 1.5 million. Why would the NBA allow that? You know what? Because the Board of Governors runs the league, and the Board of Governors really, and the NBA is a league that has a lot of markets that don't have anything else. Whether that's for a long time, Salt Lake City was the only game in town. Memphis, only game in town. Portland, only game in town. A few other examples, I'm sure, if I can think of them off the top of my head. Point is, after we get the announcement, and maybe it'll come as soon as the summer, that, hey, here's Seattle coming back in as an expansion, and here's Las Vegas. And it could be as simple as, maybe it's not this summer. Maybe it'll be you got to wait for LeBron James to retire before he can actually become an owner. That could also be part of it, too. I would think they would make an exception for that, though, because once you make an announcement that you have an expansion team, it's not like they're playing the following season. You need a 2-year run up here, maybe even 3, to get everything organized. But the same isn't true if you want to relocate a team. And Tom Dundon, I went on on DA's podcast, Damon Amendolara, and cannot stand Tom Dundon. You can look this up. How did he make his money? It's always kind of fascinating. Like, right, how did these sports owners become wealthy? Well, sometimes it's just as simple as it was Daddy who, it was there. See Mark Davis, see James Dolan, Daddy. Okay, that could be acceptable answer. Terry Pagula, energy, fracking. Some people are against fracking. I don't want to have that conversation. But Tom Dundon, and you could see I'm not slandering when I say this, when there are legal issues for him around the country when it comes to predatory lending practices, right? Fine print. Rates, all this sort of stuff. That's Tom Dundon. So, and then when he got in with the Carolina Hurricanes, it was the same deal. He just fired everyone he could. And his radio announcer, Tim, you know how much you put the posting for?
I think I saw it, and it was like 48,000, something disrespectful.
Wrong. $25,000. You can be the play-by-play voice for the Carolina Hurricanes. $25,000. And you know why he did that? Because he knew he would get applicants, and he doesn't care about the quality or filling the job. And I had a follow-up question with Trista about the actual team itself, but when she took it to the, hey, we're kind of concerned about the team staying here, he has made it known that the new head coach of the Blazers will be the lowest paid head coach in the league. Hey, wow, that's going to get some great applicants for you. Hey, if you always dreamed of becoming an NBA head coach, here's your opportunity.
Could be you today.
Could be you. At least, for everybody that wants to bitch about Terry Pagula, stop. Sure. Are there things that make you go, wow, especially during the Sabre Drought era? Absolutely. But there are situations around the league that are much, much worse. And I think, my opinion, Tom Dundon is a snake. 585-866-4326 is our number. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Next hour, we are wide open. So what we'll do is we'll take a break. 3T will be coming up. And again, I have no idea. You're going to step it up today, bud? You're going to come up with a good thing?
I'll see what I can do. I've got a couple of options, and I think I'm just going to go straight down the middle and maybe steal them both in there.
Well, I got one little note I want to get out here. And that's for, former sports bar guests. Hopefully we get them on the show, but it's kind of tough to get players in the season. Ernie Clement homering off of Sanchez.
Let's go.
Yeah, like Ernie Clement right now, he had a position change. He's batting .309. Who bats .300 in baseball these days? Oh, I tell you who, Ernie Clement. Ernie freaking Clement bats .300. So for Ernie Clement and the Jays, that's a team right now that, what do we say here in the sports bar, that's farting around. Like, honestly, and by the way, the Jays lost yesterday. Even though Clement homered off of Sanchez, they still lost to the Phillies. It's such a long season, and the opportunity for one of these teams in the AL East to jump back in there is there. Particularly, Yeah, the Yankees going up to Toronto this weekend. No Aaron Judge. You might be able to get a ticket a little easier if you're thinking about doing the quick little audible and going up there for baseball this weekend. 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here with Tim Schneider and Dan Drummey. This is WGR Rochester.
And AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Hey, it's Gene Battaglia for Window Nation. Now, you're in the market and you've done your research and you're thinking, okay, double pane windows, that's the way to go. Well, nothing beats the new Illumilite window upgrade from Window Nation. Why is that? Well, the new Illumilite windows are designed to offer triple pane performance with the look and weight of double pane. That's because they use Triton Advanced Triple Pane Glass, which means Window Nation's Illumilite windows are more energy efficient. They reduce outside noise by 15% or more, and they offer more glass area than comparable windows. That all adds up to windows that are easier to open, have an unmatched level of clarity, and make your home comfortable year-round. Plus, they're backed by a limited lifetime warranty. And now is the best time to upgrade your home's windows during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale. Imagine replacing all your windows with new Illumilite ones and getting half of them for free. Plus, you could even get them with no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Illumilite windows, available exclusively from the trusted experts at Window Nation. Schedule your consultation now by calling Window Nation at 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
Hello. is an equal opportunity employer.
WROCAM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey Sports Station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
Game 4 tonight, hockey taking center stage. It's a Stanley Cup final. Vegas up 2-1 on Carolina. No word on who's going to start in goal for the Hurricanes. Vegas head coach and former Amherst head coach John Tortorella says his veteran team knows what to do.
I think that's been our foundation, and I know prior to me coming here, it was going on during the regular season too, how they just handle themselves. Again, they get it. It's the only way I can explain it to you guys is they get it. They've been there. A lot of this team has won and gone through the process of going through playoffs, and they rely on that. I think they challenge themselves.
Meanwhile, the Knicks miss a golden opportunity to go up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. Spurs taking Game 3. Game 4 tomorrow night at the Garden. Baseball tonight, the Yankees taking Game 1 of their series in Cleveland. Game 2 tonight. Red Wings opening a homestand against the Worcester Red Sox. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, it's sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 as we welcome you back into the sports bar. Trista Crick joining us in hour number 1. If you missed that, and boy, you're a basketball fan, you should listen to Trista's pod. By all means, download our app, the Odyssey app, and you can go back and listen to that. Dana Loring also will have that up for you wherever you get your fine audio as we put it up in podcast form. Hour 2 is wide open for you here on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 585-866-4326. One, I've got some football notes here coming up in just a bit, but I do have one baseball note. And since we're coming off a weekend, didn't realize this until wait a second here. The A's are not playing in Sacramento last night. It was hey, your stadium's not ready, but at least give you here a series in Vegas. And how did I learn of this? Well, there was a good friend of the show, Dennis Bernstein, fourth period. He's out in Vegas right now, of course, covering the Stanley Cup final with he and his coworkers. And there he was last night, taking in the game in hot Vegas, taking on Milwaukee. 15-14 was the final score. 12 innings, 11 home runs. Oh, okay, so this is what baseball in the desert might kind of look like. I don't know, it was either that or, in a AAA park. And no, in case you're wondering, you know how they do the football, hey, that's a unique score. This has never happened before. The Bills lost to the Colts, 33-5. That's scoregami. No, that was not baseball scoregami, if there was such a thing. They actually had this up. You want to take a guess how many times we've had a 15-14 game in Major League Baseball history?
Including that one, it is 2, I believe, and Milwaukee was involved in both.
18 is the correct answer.
Wow.
18.
Okay, then the last one, Milwaukee.
Including there was a game 15-14, Blue Jays beating the Phillies in the 92 World Series. That was very bizarre. Or is it the Phillies over the Blue Jays? It was one of those games that went really late. Speaking of really late, that game got over at 2:19 in the morning Eastern last night. Also kind of adding to the delays, like 11 home runs, guys trying around the bases, 16 ABS challenges. The previous record was 12. Because you only get, X number, right? Well, if you're correct, you don't lose it.
Right.
So, that's kind of crazy there. So, 16 ABS challenges, 11 home runs, 29 total runs by, most runs in a game over the year. All right, so what do you do for an encore of that Brewers and A's tonight? I've got some football notes. There is one other hockey note I find kind of interesting. I'm not sure what he's going to say. But I'm sure the take is going to be good.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's terrible time, Timmy.
I was actually going to partially use that knowing that you were asleep for it and that it was going to be like I knew you'd seen it, but I didn't know that you were well versed in it. But that said, that game, it's only 12 miles away from where the current site is. I don't think that that's enough to make it that much of a environmental change. High scoring baseball in Las Vegas, once they move, that might be fun. But my take for the day is the broadcast times, like for the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. We are posting 8 or 8:30 or whatever it may be, but we're not starting until 8:30 or 8:50. And for a casual fan, that has to be super annoying because if you're doing stuff and you're blocking out time, and this is appointment television for the time of year that it is, and you're just sitting there waiting, and you got talking heads just talking to you and talking to you and talking to you, and the ceremonies and all that.
I
like,
hate it. Yeah.
Give me the puck drop time and the tip-off time. Like, when the World Cup starts, these games that start at 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it may be, they're not starting any later than 8:02. And with the Amerks, like, working all these games, 7:05 start, we're starting at 7:07. Give me something accurate, not something to just sit down and wait for, because we've got stuff to do. And again, like, I know, watching it all the time, I know that it's not going to start exactly on time, but for somebody that doesn't regularly tune in, you're kind of just wasting your own time there.
Aren't we kind of conditioned to this, though? Because maybe you're the casual fan that hasn't watched the NBA, but you're going to watch the NBA Finals. Like, the only sport that I know of, Tim, and maybe it's because there is such a hyper focus on every little thing, is the NFL. Hey, the NFL.
Same thing, yeah.
Well, no, they'll tell you the kickoff time, 6:36. Or the Kentucky Derby, say, for example. Hey, our coverage starts at 5, but it's going to be 5:58 when the actual race. Like, you're conditioned to that as a fan. What is the difference between that and something that I don't know how much longer is going to be with us? Going to the movies. Now, that is something that's come up in our house, okay? And anybody that wants to give me their honest review without a plot spoiler, but sometimes, very rarely, I can get sucked in on the trailer. I kind of want to see Backrooms. I know it came out a couple weeks ago, but I'm telling this, to my kids now. They're not even kids; they're young adults. My daughter's 22, my son's 20, right? And it takes a lot for them to be. They mock things of like my generation. They not like openly mock, but like, hey, The Shining, that's a really scary movie. No, it's not. The effects are very bad, and they're looking at it through a different lens, right? But I have to keep in mind that, hey, maybe something that I thought, look, wait, what's the one with the person in the shower and like that's not really that scary to me, but this seems more like a psychological one. But
yeah,
I have to keep in mind that, hey, I'm going to buy the tickets to the theater, and I'm going to go in, and it's 8 o'clock showing, and then there's an ad, a trailer, buy some candy, an ad. It's annoying. It's super annoying.
I ran into that issue when I went to see Sinners. We went for the 10:30 showing, but we didn't start until 10:52. And ironically, speaking of Backrooms, same thing. Not an hour and a half ago, I got a text from a friend. Have you seen Backrooms? My answer was no, and then I've got 7 that I just opened because we're on the show, and it's a lot of analysis. I want you to see it so we can talk about it. Watch it. It was like, okay.
All right, so I guess we're going to be like, but this is like summer sports talk. We're going to like, hey, do my brother ways. Hey, did you see the movie there, Backrooms? Like, is that where we're going here? Like, that's, I don't know. I get sucked in by those movies that maybe have, to me, it has kind of the feel. Maybe I'm totally wrong on this. But that series on Apple that's out every 5 years, Severance.
Yeah.
Severance to me is an A+ show where if you watch the first 2-3 episodes, it's like, the hell am I watching? This is dumb. And I told the executive producer, no, we're not punting on this. I'm not going to punt.
See it through.
You got to see it through. Like in terms of see it through series, the see it through series that to me is at the peak is Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek year 1 was garbage. And I remember getting into this kind of Twitter conversation with somebody I really respect, Marcel Louis-Jacques, who said, I don't like these characters. Why are you telling me this show is really good? And I said, it's a clinic on writing because Series 1, the writers recognized, oh my gosh, we got a problem.
We got work to do.
We got work to do. This isn't going to work. How do we rescue this show? And they completely turned it around. And that's why, to appreciate that show, you actually have to watch, I believe, the garbage season 1. Now, for Severance, I just think that it's so different that you just can't, like, kind of figure out what is this, what, and then once you get settled in, it's like, okay, now I'm bought into the characters and I want to know what's coming next. And every time I see, Ben Stiller for the, on a sideline for Knicks, I'm like, hey, dude, can we get to work on the next series here? Can we go back to work? Stop watching the Knicks here. Also, for Ben Stiller last night, it cracks me up. Like, he's there with his cell phone taking footage from courtside. Like, dude, enjoy the moment. Put the damn phone away. If you will have highlights everywhere. Just let your own eyes take in the experience, unless your pleasure centers are so fried that you can't do that. It's important to get that engagement that, oh my gosh, you're so close to me as Jalen Brunson.
He might be filming for a scene. Larry David used to do that all the time. That was funny. I mean, it's different. It's a way different type of show, but maybe he's grabbing content for the show.
Or it may be, like, from your phone. They're so good these days. Maybe that would. All right, the original point is sometimes we do here in the show. The original point was, hey, tonight, and I'm looking here.
And this game is in Vegas, so the presentation is insane.
8 p.m. Eastern time, puck drop. No, lies. That is not an 8 p.m. Is it 8:06? Is it 8:12? Baseball, by and large, all right, should be 7:05, 7:06. Like, first pitch usually is on. But I'm with you, Tim. Like, and I wish, I'm afraid, like, sometime, like, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, your movie tonight is at 8:30. Sure, I'll show up at 8:47. And by gosh, this was the movie that went 8:30. One time they're going to actually do that to people.
Get you.
They're going to get you. Like, wait a second, you told me. And there's to punish us for not, trying to time out all the.
Like, I know tonight not to even bother until 8:15, and that might be a few minutes early.
Well, that's a problem here. So right now, Joe Brady speaking to the media. Dorian Williams has an injury. He can be ready for training camp, but they're not 100% sure. Okay.
Very vague.
That's vague here. So, and James Cook is there. So, all right. Not that should be a surprise here, but everybody's there. Yeah. All right. So everybody's there. Injury for Dorian Williams, which, okay, we don't know what that's about, but I think we've been saying this all along. If there's one area the Buffalo Bills need to go get someone, you could say wide receiver. I don't know why I'm saying that. It'd be linebacker. You know why I'm singing it? Because we're talking about it so much. What are we doing with Shaq Thompson still sitting on the beach? And wouldn't you, if the price were right, bring back Matt Milano? No. All right, well, and Matt Milano might not be signed because he doesn't like what's being offered out there. But I just think you need more competition at the linebacker position. You need more depth. Maybe, or maybe it's just the hit the reset button and you will have linebackers by the time we get to week 10 that we're not familiar with on this team right now. 585-866-4326. By that, I mean, who knows? It seems like a big old opportunity for a street free agent to kind of make this team. And I'm not talking about Joy Andreessen. I'm talking about somebody you might not even know. Training camp for the Buffalo Bills, July. We got a lot of time to get that. This hour is open for you. So, again, our number, 585-866-4326. So, today in Cleveland, Joel Bitonio announcing his retirement. Now, 12 years. That was a really good run. And as a Cleveland Brown, first-team All-Pro twice in his career. Not Pro Bowl, All-Pro. That means you are the best at your position. So I don't know if that's Hall of Fame worthy, but you know what? That's a damn good career in Cleveland, right? And a couple thoughts here on this before I get to what I believe is the punchline that I'm sure Tim's head is going to explode. Couple thoughts here. One, 12 years. Oh, my gosh. Like, if we're putting this, he came out in 2014.
Sammy Watkins year.
This would mean
Yes, also that guy's here.
I was just going to go with this. Like, from a Bills standpoint, like, Deion Dawkins is kind of getting up there. Like, for Deion Dawkins, and you heard Matt Perino and others just kind of just like, yeah, was last year a good year or not? Just kind of suggesting, and I've yet to see the definitive film breakdown of Deion Dawkins on what he did and didn't do last year. I mean, we all kind of point to the Houston game, but the guy was partly concussed, right? But if he was or wasn't, he got a butt handed to him that night, right? Can Deion Dawkins bounce back? Oh, he's lost weight. That's a storyline to watch, but we talk about how we got to enjoy Josh Allen here. Yeah, the cast around Josh Allen is going to change here. Like Deion Dawkins, if we're going on that round, how many more years do you expect out of Deion Dawkins here?
They're winning, so it changes things. I'll give that.
Yeah, that's it. Like if Bitonio was, hey, we got a quarterback and we got, like, who knows? But here's the punchline, right? He gives his retirement speech, and today is supposed to be a day about him. And this is why maybe if you're going to give a retirement speech, it's not good to get zingers in or have somebody just say, you don't want to go down this path because today should be about you. But Bitonio decided to take it in a different direction. He credited Johnny Manziel. Oh, not the way you would think, though. Quote, I was drafted the same year as Johnny Manziel. We actually roomed together. I learned some things not to do from him. While that is probably true, is that the time or place to kind of point that out? Or is it that, or are you saying, hey, my career in Cleveland, I just never had a quarterback. Starting day one where I'm dealing with a guy that didn't take this all that seriously. To me, like, that's a sit down in a pod. That's a sit down with your buddies after the fact.
That becomes a pod, though, because if you never said that, he might not have the personality to even have that come up.
Well, I guess, like, if Bitonio's trying to, say, hey, I've been this offensive lineman in Cleveland and have been great, and people barely outside of Cleveland know my name, that could be one thing where he's using this opportunity as a platform. I just find it a little, I don't know.
It might be inappropriate if you railroad somebody who doesn't deserve it, but Johnny Manziel did no favors to himself, and he affected a lot of people's careers. So I think and it took him 12 years to come out and say it, so I'm okay with it.
I think that him getting drafted in the first round was a joke, actually.
Yeah, it's the Browns.
That was an absolute joke. I mean, the idea that, okay, Johnny Manziel and the showman himself, Jerry Jones, could have taken him and then passed on him. Like, all right, like, for Johnny Manziel to come out with a money sign and everything else like that, you could say wasted talent. I don't think he was an NFL talent from the get-go.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, and it was just a fantastic college quarterback.
It could have worked out, but he put himself so far behind the eight ball, no pun intended, drug-wise, but he was so bad so soon and so irresponsible that he never gave himself a chance. And again, it affected a lot of people and not just him.
Well, Bitonio didn't have to sign all those contracts with the Browns too. Like that'd be the question I would ask him. Like, okay, I understand that maybe because of your situation, maybe the Browns were offering a little bit more.
He probably learned a lot of loyalty from Joe Thomas.
Probably. And who are the Browns this year? My gosh, it's another rebuilding year. I hate to say that for you, Tim.
Perpetual.
Yeah, just hold your nose and see if you can get through that. It's just I don't know. I have I have some empathy for you, Tim.
Dylan Gabriel changed his number today because Verse stole it. Literally just went to practice with Dylan Gabriel's 8. So the Browns are in shambles and it's fine.
Well,
get out of the Watson era and restart.
It's a smart move by Dylan Gabriel. I mean, like, should that guy be on the team
No.
this year? No. I mean, it's like it is going to be Watson. It will be Sanders, and you bring in some old man.
Literally anybody.
Anybody at that point.
Gene Battaglia, QB3.
No, I don't want to go to Cleveland. Go to Cleveland and do other things, but not don't want to go be a Cleveland Brown.
Fair enough.
585-866-4326. We have some other takes from football. I've got to get to this NHL note regarding Connor McDavid, where I'm just like, all right, what does this all mean? Also, your calls at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
The Knicks missing a golden opportunity to go up big in the NBA Finals. Spurs taking Game 3. Jalen Brunson on what happened there in Game 3.
I think we turned the ball over a lot, first and foremost, but then also we were fouling a lot and put them at the line about 30 times. And with our live ball turnovers, and I got them out in transition, and they were capitalizing off of those. So we were definitely fouling a lot.
Bills minicamp beginning today. 100% attendance. Dorian Williams with an injury. Undisclosed what it is. Uncertain whether he'll be ready for training camp. It's Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Vegas up 2-1 on Carolina. Baseball tonight. Everything under the lights, including the Yankees, looking to make it 2 in a row in Cleveland. Rochester Red Wings opening a homestand tonight against Worcester. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. 95.7 FM. AM 950. WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Yeah, there are very few things that you as a sports fan will, nearly unanimous, we're all in agreement on. Welcome back here to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you. And no, even I'm going to say no. Like, the Knicks, 100% New York City? Yeah, I would think that there are some people, that longtime Net fans, that would say, I guess, but overwhelmingly it's Knicks. I'm going to present to you something that I would think is 100%, right? It's this Brandon Sorsby story. Like 100% of people who follow college football are just presenting the facts that, hey, here's a guy that was a quarterback. Quarterback at Cincinnati, good program. Transfers to Texas Tech. Oh, wait a second. He's been betting on the sport. Betting on his own team dating back to his days in Cincinnati. He can't play. What are we doing? Wait a second. Some local yokel judge actually granted an injunction that will allow him to play? That's not right. You can't bet on your own team and be allowed to play. Well, that's where we're at, and everybody wondering, wait a second, this isn't right. I'm just curious as how far are these other teams, these other schools, these other conferences actually going to take this? And Big 12 athletic directors are having a conference call today on this. Big 10 officials apparently are discussing a conference kind of like ban where we are not going to schedule Texas Tech. You have Georgia, who has already said that they're going to do that. Nebraska was the first to say, hey, we're not going to schedule Texas Tech. And to those schools individually, I'd be like, make sure your house is in order there before you start doing something like that. But if it becomes this universal, hey, do the right thing. And since the NCAA doesn't have any teeth on this, like the best policing is if you do it yourself, right? Like say a locker room. Like the best locker rooms in sports are the ones that take care of their own business, right? You don't need the manager, the GM, or some authoritative figure to come down. You're taking care of this on your own. Those are the best workplace issues. And in college sports, if we're just kind of making this analogy, you have the authoritative figure. They really can't do any damn thing, the NCAA. They can't do anything because, well, that's a whole other story. Okay, but, we're going to appeal this. Okay, that's not going to go very far in a timely manner you would like. But can these other conferences, other schools, the other ADs police this? Because we all recognize having a quarterback placing bets and being on the field at the same time. And sure, maybe Sorsby is reformed. Maybe there's a pathway. I'm not saying like it shouldn't be forever, and maybe an NFL team someday would kind of allow that. But you have to set the precedent that this cannot happen. It cannot. So I'm curious as to where this story actually goes with the Texas Tech quarterback, Brandon Sorsby. And if you actually have, let's say, hey, we were scheduled to play you in softball next year, Texas Tech, we're going to pull you off the schedule. It's all on the table here, and I just see if like these other ads are they just doing this for show, or is this actually gonna be kind of a unifying thing? And again, I have yet to meet the person that says this is the contrarian view. We all are kind of in agreement, like, no, it's kind of messed up. 585-866-4326 is the phone number to call. As again, we mentioned Dorian Williams there. That's the news. That's a headline story out of training camp today. That all right, there's some sort of injury, might be ready for training camp, but just not a lot of detail. We'll see if the beat guys can kind of beat reporters should get to the bottom of that. You know how when you buy tickets directly from a team, and this is kind of the day and age we do this. Like the Red Wings still use paper tickets, and I like that. I'm old-fashioned, right? I like having the stub that said I went to the game, and then maybe I can get the buck off, right, at the local establishment. You can't exactly do that, right, with an electronic ticket. But we're all used to it right now. The Syracuse, the Sabres, locally the Amerks and the Nighthawks, this is the way of the world, right? And you're going to go buy tickets online. Well, hey, you're in the gateway and you see, okay, what tickets are available? And you look at the sections and you see the blue dots. Hey, where do you want to sit? Hey, we're going to select these seats. Bam, bam, pay your money, and then you download the tickets. It's simple, easy. After you do it once, you're like, okay, I got it. But the idea that, hey, you're getting in now. By comparison, I forget which game exactly it was. It was the Montreal series. But for the point of this, I was in the lottery, and by the time my number got called, there weren't any blue dots. They were all gone. And the blue dots that were there, it's like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, we're already going. We've already moved on to the resale, and okay, you know what? I can go somewhere else for the resale. The point of the story is this, that if you go online right now for Jaguars Texans London, October 18th, there are blue dots everywhere. And for the NFL, did they finally get too piggy? Did this finally tip? Did it finally, yeah, we're going to just serve you up whatever game, and we're going to charge you top dollar, and we're going to just make money. That's why the NFL is doing games overseas. It's not some altruistic thing to grow the game of football, blah, blah, blah. It's to make money. Short term, make money. Like, that's what this is about, right? So it's unusual because usually these games get sold out, number one. Number two, the price tag for these games, I saw average when you're converting pounds to dollars, $500 a ticket.
That's to get in?
No, average.
Oh.
No, thank you. No, I'm not interested in paying whatever the pound is for that game. Sure, if you have somebody that, oh my gosh, once in a lifetime, when the Bills went over a few years ago in 2023 and the Bills were competitive, good team, Josh Allen, sure, I've never been to London, let's go. And you're paying a premium. And you could say, well, it's going to cost that much if you go to a Broadway game or you're going to go see the Bills in London. But a couple thoughts. The Jaguars are there every year. They themselves are not an attraction. I'm sorry. The Texans, sure, it's a major metro, top 10 in the U.S., but do they really, really travel? I would argue that the Texans are not the most popular team in Houston. It might be the whatever college football team that people cheer for down there, the Longhorns.
I was gonna say they are the third most popular team in Texas, behind obviously the Cowboys and pick your pick.
Right,
Texas Tech.
Yeah, it's like in Houston, it's like, okay, we like the Texans, but it's a little stunning that if you go online right now, you're seeing like rows, like blocks of tickets that are unsold. Now, it's June 9th. We're talking October 18th. But what is the word when Sal Capaccio joined us a couple weeks ago? Schadenfreude. When you take pleasure in the demise of others.
He would correct how you said it. I won't. You're supposed to say it the German way.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like, you get the point, right?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
I don't know. That's why I'm not going to correct you.
You can't correct me if you don't know how to.
I didn't correct you. I said he would correct you.
You correct me. Schadenfreude. I'm not going to pretend. I don't want to offend anybody, but and it's like, oh, yeah, is that good for karma and everything else? That I'm taking pleasure in the fact that the NFL, not everything turns up roses for you, does it? Oh yeah, you're going to mark up tickets in London, and they're not going to work. Or maybe you just got to roll up your sleeves a little bit in London, I suppose.
Yeah, like you said, 4 months away, but it's starting to look like a tarp game, and you get a free ticket upgrade if you buy one of those seats. Buy one of those cheap ones way up there, and maybe you'll get an upgrade into the lower sections because that section won't be available for you to sit in because there's not enough people there.
I don't. The NFL's not going to do a tarp game. I mean, that would be just okay, what are we doing? Trust me, Tim. They will figure out a way. If you notice, baseball kind of does the same thing. I want to be just on the list, and maybe they're just interns or whatever. But, like say at Yankee Stadium, what always irks me, and I'm sure pick whatever your favorite. I'm not picking on the Yankees. It's only because Yes Network a little more readily available. But pick your favorite team, and you're watching the game. And there are just, half the seats behind home plate are available? Why? You're kidding me. You paid all that money for that ticket, and you can't put your butt in the seat? And the reality is that is such wealth that you don't really even care. Went to some corporation or whatever it is. Or maybe you're just having another cold one at the bar, and you're just going to get your butt out in time. But I think it's just a bad look for Major League Baseball that, hey, for some of these regular season games, that's the picture you're presenting, that there aren't fans. Well, the reality is, if you panned out a little bit, stands are, majority full, and you're just kind of zeroing in on that. And baseball figured this out that, hey, you know what? If you're not going to be in your seat, let's get an intern, and let's just make sure that people are sitting in there just for the image of this. Well, you can't do that with some, 40,000 or whatever seats are available for this game in London. But as we get closer, all right, yeah, there's opportunity for the NFL to roll up their sleeves, and we'll bring in kids, underprivileged, and make sure that everybody's having a good time here at the game. By the time you get to October 18th, this is not a story because every seat will be filled. But we'll just never know the actual number. Like, did they go down in revenue here? And at some point, you would figure, all right, is this just going to become not a thing? You can't do this year after year after year and expect the numbers to go up. I mean, would you pay for Jaguars Texans? Not me.
Eventually, you've got to put a real team there that's there year round, right? Like you can keep doing the Jaguars experiment, but you have to bring in marquee opponents. You can't put the Texans there as it's being proven right now.
So in the NHL, like John Tortorella tonight is going to be coaching the final. And I think Torts and Lindy Ruff, you have to point to men like this in the league. Now, I kind of roll my eyes because I think if there's one sport, and that's the National Hockey League, that, hey, experience matters more than other things, it's the NHL where, Peter Laviolette got hired by the Kings. Great. Lindy Ruff coming back to Buffalo. I was an advocate for the second I said on this show, hey, I would do that in a New York minute. Now, it took a little bit of time, but it worked out in the end. And I think one thing that Lindy learned over the years is, hey, that kind of approach that you took back in the 1990s, not today's athlete. The world's changed a little bit, and it's a different approach today. And maybe helping them out along the way. And for our listeners in Buffalo who like to bitch about the power play, you have to understand what Seth Appert's role is. Seth Appert, kind of comes from a different era. And I think that's the good yin to the yang there, honestly. And I think that Seth, having coached a lot of these, kids, young men now up in Buffalo, here in Rochester, that was something that doesn't get discussed enough, how that's all kind of come about. But the point is that Lindy did alter his style a little bit. John Tortorella certainly has altered his style a little bit. Holy cow. I mean, when he was here in Rochester, kind of afraid to even look at the guy, right? And he's going to rip your head off. Different guy now. And it's not to say that Torts isn't a disciplinarian. It's not to say that Torts isn't. It's just a little different. What's Mike Babcock doing these days? This idea that the Edmonton Oilers have gone to the NHLPA just to ask for clearance. Think how unusual that is. Mike Babcock let go in Columbus for circumstances we're not fully certain, but it was bad enough to the point where Edmonton, before they even want to talk to Mike Babcock, this is part of their due diligence, making sure the NHLPA is okay with this? What the hell?
If you've got to ask for permission, maybe not.
Maybe not. Like, wait a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And we know Mike Babcock in Toronto, okay, blue language alert here, kind of an a-hole, right? And going to Columbus probably didn't do it. Now, whatever happened or didn't happen in Columbus, I don't know. The point is this. This is the guy you want to bring in to get Connor McDavid his Stanley Cup championship. Because the way I see this is this. If Edmonton doesn't at least get back to the final this year, like we're having that real where does Connor McDavid play in 27-28 conversation. We had that this time last year, and then he signed kind of a bridge-ish deal. We talked to Dennis Bernstein. Hey, his wife just opened up a restaurant in Edmonton. Hey, this isn't Wayne Gretzky 2.0. Okay, that's all fine, well, and good, but they're just market forces out there that if Connor McDavid was, his representation is saying, if we got, and not even necessarily the States, mind you, like if he went to a bigger market in Canada, but ultimately, like, does he take the same path as Gretzky? Like, I mean,
I hope so.
Well, and the disclaimer here is because I'm just imagining the person that is listening now from small town Canada and be like, Gene, you're being hypocritical. You realize you're in Western New York and the Sabres are the smallest U.S. market. I hear you. I get all that. I understand. But we don't have the Connor McDavid here in Buffalo. You in Edmonton have this, and it hasn't worked. And at some point, if it's not working, is he going to ask for it out? And the hypocritical part may be like, yeah, I wonder what that would look like. What would it look like with McDavid on Broadway or with the LA Kings or with with Boston? I don't know, but like if you put him in a U.S. market that at minimum has respect for the NHL or maximum is crazy about the NHL. Like what if he comes to Pittsburgh? I mean, everything would be on the table, right? If you're Edmonton, and I'm only kind of jumping ahead in the story because if I'm Connor McDavid, and this is a league where Trista Crick talked about the gossip nature of the NBA. Ha! Okay, get me over some beers, and I'll tell you about the gossip nature of the NHL. Because wow, there are some stories about the NHL. Maybe even ties to Rochester that I can't tell you on the air because I don't want to get sued. Okay? Gossip. Yeah, great over beers, not great over radio because, again, you could get sued. What do you think the gossip nature, Tim, is about Mike Babcock? It's not even gossip nature. It's out there.
Bad guy. Coach from a different era. Like, all of a sudden, this guy is going to change his spots and become the guy that connects with Connor McDavid? Unless he's advocating for that behind closed doors and not speaking up about it. Well, that's the only thing I can think of is like this is McDavid because if you're Edmonton, like there are very few athletes in sport that you would say, you know what, you have a hand in picking the head coach. We have one here in Buffalo. No, Josh Allen didn't make that decision, but he sat in on the interviews. The quarterback for the Buffalo Bills sat in on every interview. And maybe he didn't ask the question, but you know what? At the end of the day, Terry Pagula and Pete Coelho and Brandon Beane turned and looked, whether that was in person or on Zoom, at Josh Allen and asked, what do you think? And you don't think the same thing's happening in Edmonton right now? Of course it is. Or if it's not, then I can't wait. I can't wait for this to just kind of unfold. Mike Babcock in Edmonton, that's the nuttiest idea I have heard of all the recycled coaches in the NHL. That's not the play. I'm sorry. And if it is the play, I wish you good luck. And just kind of like me grabbing my popcorn or the accident that's the side of the road, I'll be watching. Last call is for you, 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, if I'm going to get on Derek, our beloved engineer, for being a Patriot and Yankee fan, then I've got to call somebody else out. Welcome into the sports bar. Last call is for you, 866-4326. We'll set you up for tomorrow in a second. So last night, the Knick game, of course, they've got to do the, okay, let's splice all the celebrities together. And there's, Timothy Chalamet and, Spike Lee, all of them all kind of spliced together, right? All the usual suspects, John McEnroe, Larry David, Eli Manning. There's one celebrity, Tim, that they showed and they didn't identify. I'm like, son of a gun. And I'm here to tell you that indeed was him sitting there courtside, right around a little ways there from Larry David. That would be New England Patriot owner Robert Kraft. So Robert Kraft, if you're in Boston today, you're probably like, oh, that's Robert. Yeah, he's got the Manhattan doctor. Yep, that's Robert. I remember watching CBS when Billy Joel was doing his final run there, did a special on him, and they cut away to the crowd, and there's Robert Kraft clapping like, yes, yay, 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 with his new wife there, and it's like, well, okay, you're in New York at the Garden, I suppose, but to me, I don't know. Like, if I'm a Patriot fan, do I really want that should the Celtics and the Knicks are like, you think Celtics and Lakers? No. Like Celtics and Knicks over the years, that's just as much. Like I wouldn't want my owner for being there supporting a team that to me that's in the Derek the pizza dude era, like that neighborhood of, all right, don't be rooting for different stuff there. Interesting today, the Dorian Williams injury. And not really clear if this goes back to the postseason. Not really clear on anything, but that's the one thing that kind of popped up today. So 100% attendance, no contract issues. And again, that's kind of your headline story today. And Joe Brady, hey, you're on center stage, bud. This is your mini camp. We'll be talking a little more Bills football. Because Matt Perino normally joins us on a Tuesday, and because the team is talking today, Matt will join us this coming Friday from the Shout Podcast and Syracuse.com. Tomorrow on the show, PJ Glasser met his brother last night. He was interning for the Rochester Red Wings. Invited him up to, one Wednesday, kind of do sit in with us while we're talking to PJ. PJ Glasser, who will be joining us from the College World Series tomorrow. That's kind of cool that's going on as well. If you miss any of today's show, 1 to 3 Eastern, we're on inside the Odyssey app, or if you want to listen to Trista Crick, all those interviews and segments in bite-sized form thanks to the Dandalorian, wherever you get your fine audio, including the Odyssey app, WGR Rochester, the old-fashioned way, being our website. Thanks to Dan, thanks to Tim, and thank you for listening today. Show Up in the Bulldog coming your way next, where, hey, tomorrow on the show, we'll be talking about Game 4, Knicks and Spurs, here on WGR Rochester.